Yeah, so when I first read the script, I thought it had a lot of really tense moments, obviously, and there's obviously going to be a lot of action because it is a shark genre film. But I thought that our director Marty did a really good job of really building out the characters and making sure that we really focused on not just making it a big, jump scare action movie and really focusing on those like quiet moments
Right.
because, most of the movie does take place in a raft. So it's a confined small space and it's quite scary. And there are a lot of quiet moments. I mean, if this were to happen, there would be a lot of just like nothing going on. So I thought that they did a really good job of keeping those quiet moments um, in there where you got to know the characters and their instincts and just kind of like got to know them a little bit. And I think that really did help build the tension. So instead of having a movie where it's just like this happens, this happens, you have those tense moments that kind of make those jump scares even more impressive or even more scary in the moment. But I also think they did a really good job of keeping the movie going because sometimes if you have too much, dead space, it's
Slow
not
down. Yeah,
exciting to
yeah.
watch. Right.
Right.
So I think that really sets this movie apart that we were really able to, and I mean, the actors and we really, and Marty too, we really cared about making our characters have, a lot of deep layers and try to bring as much character driven storytelling into this movie as we could.
Right, yeah. So that was the thing I kind of noticed too, because like you said, a lot of movies like that can just kind of focus on the jump scares or maybe being even a little too gory or this and that. But like it to me, it was like even the stuff that didn't involve, the shark. It was like you guys just on the raft, kind of dealing with this kind of escalating, what your characters are going through. Some of you are handling it better than others on the
Mm-hmm.
raft. So like there was a lot of that going on that kind of built the tension as well. And I really thought that was really good because you really don't get a lot of character moments like that sometimes in films like this.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, of course, the audience wants to see the jump scare. They want to see the shark. They want to see
Right,
people die. I mean, there has to be
right,
that in
right.
these
Yeah, no,
movies,
I
and
mean,
there is
it's a
sense of
horror
that.
movie at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right,
But yeah, there was a good balance, I thought.
right. So how much, so was it pretty like a grueling kind of shoot, kind of being, like, how was the like open water stuff done with you guys?
Yeah, so it was, I knew going into it that it would be a pretty physically rigorous experience, and it was. The cast, we went through some scuba training. We really had to work a lot, obviously, in the water and underwater, and not like I hadn't done any underwater shooting before. So that was a challenge in itself. And I love this kind of stuff though. Like I love a physical challenge, especially in a film.
Right.
So it was really, really fun to do all of that. But I will say, I was like, oh, we're gonna act underwater. Like this is gonna be hard, but it was much harder than I thought because we were shooting in these big aviation tanks for all the underwater scenes, and they built
Uh-huh.
all these sets in the tanks.
Right.
And once you're underwater in these pools, like you can't really see anything that's not right in front of you. So there was just a lot of like choreography with even just like the swimming around because I didn't know where my eye line was half the time. Like I knew the vicinity, but it was a lot of just practice. So we would like, before we would shoot a scene, I would run through it with our stunt team so many times just to make sure that I knew where I was stopping, where I was looking, when I was coming up for air, because I could only hold my breath for, a
Long, yeah.
certain amount of time before I had to go back up.
Right. So I kind of always want to ask this when people are in movies like this, because when I watch something like this, I try to put myself in a situation like, could I get through that? Would I
Mm-hmm.
be able to survive that? Because like my not so secret shame is that I can't even swim, so this would be a game over kind of thing for me. But how would Katrina do, like yourself do in a situation like this?
I would like to think I would be similar to Kaz. I would like to think I'm pretty good under pressure, and I'm pretty good in like a crazy situation. I tend to be pretty calm and collected and just try to figure out what the best way is to go about it. But God, I mean, I don't know. being stuck in a raft overnight with a shark, I mean, that would be just terrifying. But I guess in that situation, what else can you do other than try to survive? I mean, I hope I'm never in a situation like that.
I always like when I see movies like, you know, like this or Open Water or The Shallows, I'm like, I just know me, and it just be a wrap, I think. At a certain point.
You're like, well, I had a good run. So
yeah. So the stuff with the sharks, did you have mechanical ones that they were working with, and was there, you know, some CGI, or were you acting against nothing? Like, kind of, how did that work out?
So we had a little bit of both. There was a lot of CGI done, but we had mechanical sharks that they used underwater for us. When we were, especially when we were shooting the underwater, that we had something to actually look at and react to. And so they built out these animatronic sharks that were on dollies. So it would move, and it had the retractable jaw. They made it as similar to a real great white as they possibly could. And it was really, really cool, because most of the time in these types of films, when something jumps out and scares you, you're looking at like a piece of tape or a tennis ball. So it's, you know, it's sometimes hard to like, you know, I mean, as actors, like, we do it, but it was much easier to react to a mechanical shark than it is just like a piece of tape, obviously. So that was really great. And we had when we saw the fin, we had divers who would have a shark fin on their back, so they would like it had like people operating it, so we had something to look at, because it was, you know, if it was just them telling us, okay, now everyone needs to look at that random spot in the water, I mean, we would all probably be looking kind of in a different spot. So it was really nice to have the eye line and something to actually react to.
Now, do you guys have to like suspend your disbelief like a bit? So like, since you're watching, you know, a man or someone, you know, with a shark's fin just like crawling, like swimming around, trying to pretend like, oh, that this is frightening.
I remember when we were shooting in Australia, there was an article that ran in like the paper and all over the internet about us shooting there, and the people who were taking pictures on the beach of us while we were shooting got a shot of one of our divers walking out of the water in a wetsuit with a shark fin. We all thought it was so funny, because it's like, oh wow, it's a shark.
That's hilarious. So you shot in Australia?
Yes, we shot in Brisbane and around around the area in Brisbane. In Brisbane.
What was that experience like? Have you been there before, or was your first time ever going? And
I had been to Australia before, but it hadn't been since like 2011, so it was a long time ago, and I was so excited to go and shoot there. It was kind of like a dream location. I mean, I wanted to shoot this. I loved this script, and I wanted to be a part of it. But then when I found out I was shooting in Australia, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it was such a great. I love Australia. I can't wait to go back.
Yes. I also kind of want to get a little bit of your insight. You know, having to play a nurse in this, did you kind of do any research for that, or did you kind of look into like, you know, what that would be like?
So Kaz was a triage nurse. Obviously she didn't do that anymore, but that was what she went to school for, and that's what her background was. And I thought that was a really important part of the character, because a triage nurse obviously has to react very quickly under stressful situations and needs to know what to do in an emergency. So I did some research on that just to find out what that's like, because I don't know anything about nursing. So I wanted to just be aware of what kind of situations this character had been in the past, just so that I could bring a little bit of that to her when, you know, because she is really that rock in the like her and Charlie together, but she really is like a calm and collected character who reacts really well under pressure. So I wanted to make sure I brought as much of that to the character as possible.
The character has to really push the others. I mean, especially towards the end. I mean, like there's a lot that you have to do, like with Michelle and stuff like that kind of keep her strong and keep her kind of in the thick of it. So I mean, that was I thought you conveyed that really well. I actually thought all of you were very convincing and believable in your roles. It was like to really kind of see that kind of close, tight-knit kind of group that's in that situation, you want to get to know them, you want to care about what they're going through, and I think all of you did a really good job doing that.
Thank you. And we all we all, because we were shooting in such tight quarters, whether it was on that seaplane or in the raft, we all became such good friends like really quickly, because I'd never been in shot a movie where we had to be stuck in such close quarters for like the entire day. So we all really did, we were forced to get along really, really well, but we all just really genuinely liked each other anyway. And so I think it really helped with this movie, because it is it's an ensemble cast, and if we all didn't get along, I don't know how this movie would have turned out. But
yeah, it's one of the quarters, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
you have to like your co-stars in that situation. Mm-hmm. So would you I mean, this genre, I mean, I know you did like Piranha 3D and stuff like that, but like, can you see yourself, you want to do more like horror thriller stuff like this?
I really love this genre. I like thrillers, I like horrors, I like action movies. I really like shooting them. I think they're so much fun. Yeah. So I would love to do more. I mean, I've done a handful already, and it's always a blast. So yes.
Nice. Well, I want to let everyone know that Great White is coming out July 16th via theaters and on demand. I did want to ask you one question unrelated, because I'm a huge fan of 30 Rock and loved you on that show.
Thank you.
Thought you were hilarious. I don't think I would ever want to see like it rebooted or anything like that. But in the same style that they've done like these kind of like Fresh Prince reunions and Friends reunions, can you kind of see that happening for you guys at some point?
I mean, I could see it happening for sure. And I mean, if it did, I think the fans would love it, and it would be so much fun, obviously, for all of us. I think like a full reboot of it might, like you said, I mean, the show was so good at the time that it was on. Right. And it would be cool to do a little reunion. I mean, like selfishly, I would love it just to kind of get back with the whole gang. But yeah, I mean, anything. I mean, it could happen. I have no idea. It's not really under my control, but if it was to happen, I would love to be a part of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it still kind of endures too. I mean, me and a few friends revisited over the whole. I mean, we revisited a lot of shows over the lockdown, but that was one of them that we kind of went back on. It was so cool to kind of watch it again, and just for a good laugh. It really was like, it still is, really holds up, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those shows that was so topically relevant at the time. Like a lot of the jokes were very like, geared towards what was happening in the news and in pop culture. And it is kind of cool to go back and rewatch, because you can be like, oh my God, I remember when that was, so yeah. There was a lot of that. And the characters, like, they were a little bit wacky, and it's kind of like a suspended reality in a lot of ways. But yeah, our writers on that show were just so brilliant that I'm sure it'll hold up for a long time.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you so much for giving me your time. I really enjoyed watching the film, and I hope that other people enjoy Great White when it comes out on July 16th via theaters and on demand. Like I said, I think as a film like that, it's hard to make them original. It's hard to make them new again, but I think what you guys did with it really worked, and I thought it was really good.
Thank you. I love hearing that, and I'm excited for everyone to see it. It's definitely a really fun one, and it's pretty emotional too. Yeah, so I hope everyone enjoys it.
It hits all the right notes. I think it hits all the right notes, actually.
Yes.
It gives people the thrills. It gives them the character development. I think and that's rare sometimes in the genre. So it was nice to see.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
It's great chatting with you too. Thank you.
You guys good back there? Keep your eyes open, you might see a whale.
Or a shark.
One day I was out on my own, one grabbed me from behind. Luckily it was more of a love bite than a real chop. Welcome to Hell's Reef.
We made it.
Hey! Shark attack.
It's got to be out there somewhere.
You've got no idea where to look. The chance of finding anything is almost zero.
Yeah, we have to try. She could still be alive.
We're sinking fast.
We're in the current. By morning, we'll be 75 k's from here.
Get a mayday out?
Not sure.
What about the rescue boat?
The current is running east.
We use it to get to the coast. You're kidding.
You got a better idea? So do you think it's gone? It's still out there. And it's close.
Everyone get out of the water!